Hello everyone and welcome to House of Chi Yoga. Thank you all for joining me today. Let's go ahead and start on our mats. We're going to get moving this morning. I've got some energy and I need to get going. So maybe about a half an hour class today. Center of the mat, let's go ahead and take our toes underneath us on our knees, kneeling, and just start leaning right to left. So you're getting some weight back in the feet. You're starting to wake up the toes. You're starting to extend into the sides of the hips. And then we'll come to center. Inhale, bring the palms up, gaze up. Exhale, hands to your heart, bring the gaze down. Now tuck your hip bones to your rib cage, hold. Feel the pelvic floor engage. Feel your navel pulling to your spine. Feel the length lifting tall through the spine. Now keep that navel to spine. Let's take the arms straight forward, palms facing up, and then rotate palms facing down. And you can rotate as much as you want here. So instead of just palms facing up and down, you can try to extend a little bit farther. Get some big rotations through the wrist, and make sure that rotation is coming up all the way through the arm joint into the shoulder socket. Maybe you can feel it moving all the way through the scapula. And then we'll keep the palms facing up. We'll inhale, lift the heart, extend the palms toward the ceiling or maybe a little bit farther back. Feel a nice stretch across the front of the ribs. Keep breathing into the front body space. And then we're going to exhale, neutral spine. So pull the front ribs in, pull hips to ribs, and then do these little taps down the back body. So as I tap right to left, I'm extending into those long back muscles, our erector spinae muscles, and I'm going to start rotating a little bit more. So as I rotate, I'm incorporating those obliques, those abdominal muscles. Keep squeezing right to left. And then we're going to come back to center, both hands behind the back or behind the head. I'm going to take the pinky right to the occiput, right at the base of the hairline, and inhale to lift up and away, create some space in the throat. You can open up the mouth, exhale out the jaw. And then we'll come back through center. Palms are reaching straight out, right to left through the shoulders. We're taking one more rotation. I always like gazing in the opposite direction of the shoulder I'm rotating in. And again, I want you to feel this rotation happening all the way through the shoulder joint. Last one. Take our hands back and behind. You can see my hands here, they're bound. So I'm trying to keep my palms together, and my thumb is right at my sacrum. Now I'm just going to massage, make a little circle around my sacrum. If your toes are getting a little bit too stretched, you can untuck the toes and go straight down onto the feet. Now take the hands, extend them back, open up the heart. Again, releasing through the jaw, opening the mouth. Feel a nice stretch across the collarbones. And then we're going to exhale, come back to a neutral spine. If you haven't untucked the toes already, go ahead and untuck them here. Now we're taking a big stretch cross body, and as one hand reaches across, that same side hip is going to sink down to the mat. Inhale through center. Exhale, opposite side, reach, let the hip extend to the mat. We're going two more each side. Inhale, open. Exhale through center. Inhale, open. Exhale through center. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. And exhale. Let's bring the arms, wrap them around each other. Get the fingertips underneath the scapula. Just give yourself a little massage there. And then from there, you're going to round. So I'm bringing my elbows down. I'm compressing through the front body, compressing through the chest. And I'm going to bring my chin all the way down to my chest. Now breathe into the back muscles. I like creating a C curve by drawing back into my C curve. I'm tucking my ribs in, pulling my navel to my spine. Take one more breath here into the back body. And then we'll inhale, palms up overhead. Exhale, bring the hands down to the heart. Just take a moment to close your eyes. Feel the energy being created in the body. Maybe think of something you're grateful for today. Or thinking of something you'd like to bring awareness to for your practice. Okay, let's begin. Open our hands, circle the wrist. Let's take it into quadruped. From quadruped, index fingers are forward, the other fingertips are fanned out. Take a big wrap through the shoulders. Check in, knees are under the hip line. Now keep that wrap so you worked into your lat muscles with that wrap. Now you can tuck the ribs in, take the toes and give them a little tap. Now you're pushing the top of the foot into the mat, and as you push the top of the foot into the mat, it's going to hollow into your core, lift into your pelvic floor, and maybe float the knees off the mat. You feel some movement through the rib cage. You can slide right to left. Keep the palms down. Keep the weight stabilized. And then we're going to come back through center, lower the knees. Right away, we're inhaling right arm, left foot. Exhale, bring it back through center. Switching sides. Inhale, left arm, right foot. And exhale through center. Keep moving. It's a quicker breath. Inhale. Exhale. Feel the length being created. Feel the contraction into the back body. As you're moving right to left and doing it with your breath, you want to make sure you're not opening the ribs into an arch. You're keeping the abdominals engaged. You're lengthening from fingertip to toe. Let's go one more each side. And then we're going to bring it all the way down. Toes together, knees extra wide. Sink it into child's pose. You can bring the hands towards center and shimmy out through the hips. And then keeping our child's pose stance, we're going to walk the fingertips forward until the sternum, the chin, and the armpits work down to the mat. Take a deep breath here. Open the front body. Next exhale, you're bringing the tailbone back towards the heels. You're tucking the palms, tucking the toes, stepping it back to our downward facing dog. Any movement you'd like here in down dog. Keep the palms planted, keep the ribs engaged. And then we're going to stay in our hips distance stance, but bend the knees, walk the hands back, keep the heels off the mat. Just support with the fingertips, and I'll pedal the heels. Use this pedal to get all the way up into the hips, all the way into the low back. Keep your navel to your spine. Now left foot is going to plant, right heel is going to stay up. We're going to bind our hands back to our sacrum and just add a little lift and a lower, working through that right side glute muscle. I'm just going gently above the hip line, gently below the hip line. And now inhale to standing. Let's bring the right knee towards the chest and extend the palms down, open up the heart. Keep that planted leg pushing. Keep the right knee driving up towards the ceiling. And then exhale, stepping to hips distance. Palms reach up overhead. Bring the hands down to your heart and sink to chair. Now don't move the toes, but let's just circle the knees around. Make sure the toes are down, the heels are down, the balls of the feet are working down. And then we're going to take some big circles toward midline. Remembering to keep the feet planted, big circles away from midline. Now we're going to inhale, palms rise. Exhale to a forward fold. And then both knees are going to bend and extend, working through the hamstrings. Check in with the feet, make sure they're unrolled to the mat. And then you can hold a forward fold, option to take opposite elbow. You can take a bind behind the legs. Use your breath to get closer, forehead to shins. Releasing the bind, fingertips planting underneath the shoulders. We're going to lift back off the heels. So I'm lifting my knees into my armpits. I'm bringing my thigh up into my belly. I'm closing my core off. This time I'm going to plant my right heel down and my left heel stays high. Hands bind back, add a little lift and a lower. So we go gently above the hip line, gently below the hip line. Pay attention to the glute muscles. Make sure they're actively working. Pay attention to the feet, grounding down, everything except for that left heel. We'll go for 3, 2, 1. This time standing, you're driving the left knee towards the chest. You're bringing the palms down to open the heart. You're pushing through the right foot. Feel that push-pull action. Right foot, left knee is creating some counter resistance. Keep breathing. And then we're going to exhale, bring the left knee down. Inhale, palms rise. Exhale to a forward fold. Inhale, flat back. This time we're walking forward to our plank, and from our plank position, we're going to push from both toes. So you're covering the space of your mat. Your fingertips are nice and wide. You can even push from the toe and get the shoulder a little bit over the wrist so you work on that wrist mobility. Feeling the abdominals engage. So neutral spine, flat back, abs are in. And then we're going to stay forward on the toes and do little toe taps right to left. Now start small. Make sure the palms are evenly planted. But once you start feeling the abdominals working a little bit more, you want to work the abdominals a little bit more, you can start kicking the toes up closer to the pinkies. Now if you can get it all the way up, woo, stepped on my own foot, we're almost there. Let's go one more each side. Hi, bring it down, quadruped. And now cat-cow to release the hips, to release the core. Take some deep breaths into the back and the front body here. This time we're going to hold our round, press into the palms, hollow through, pull the navel to spine, squeeze the internal organs, and just give them a little massage. Back to center. Tuck the toes, step it toward downward facing dog. Inhale, right toes rise. Exhale, bend the knee, and now push that foot to the opposite direction so you feel a stretch across the psoas. Importantly, you're not bringing that same side shoulder with you. So you're keeping the shoulders squared to the mat. You're keeping the palms evenly weighted. And then just the psoas is getting a stretch here. And circle out the top foot. And then we're going to exhale, re-square, but keep that top leg active and flexed. So my glute muscles are strong, my abs are in. I'm going to bend the standing leg and extend it up. Bend and extend. You feel that bottom knee working, the bottom ankle joint working. Make sure you're getting into the quad muscles. Let's go for 3, 2. And now you're bringing that bottom knee all the way down and isolating just the glute muscle on the top. So checking in with the ribs to the hips right here. If we're arching, we're not using our core and isolating. So squeeze into the abdominal muscles and then isolate the movement in the glute muscle. Keep pressing, keep the top foot active, flexed, working. Let's go for 3, 2, and now some big circles through the hip joint. Still isolating, so there's not movement in the body. Everything is strong and stable, and we're moving from the glute muscles. Let's go opposite direction with our circle. And then we're going to extend the right leg out to the side and put the pinky toe on the ground. So if you need to extend it out wider, do whatever you need to do to get that pinky toe to hit the ground. And we're just going to gently lean back into a stretch. It's kind of like a half happy's baby here. Happy baby, where'd that come from? I'm in child's pose. Happy baby sounds nice right now, though. And then as we come forward, we're going to bring the palms down, bring the knee back in, and unroll straight to a cobra pose. If you're not quite ready for cobra, feel free to bend the elbows. Every fingertip is down. Let's lift up through the heart, shoulders away from the ears. We're going to add a little extension and bend. So when you're doing this tricep work, have to make sure the palm is down. Have to make sure that there's space across the collarbones, and you're focused on using the triceps and not rounding in through the shoulders. So keep the shoulders nice and broad. Keep the back body actively working. 3, 2, 1. Lower all the way to the ground. And then we're going straight to a Superman hold. So now it's a lot of that back body work. Lift, squeeze, engage through the back muscles. Even though our belly's on the ground, we're still lifting our navel to our spine. Taking one more breath here. And then you're tucking the toes, palms underneath. Keep the knees down, but the abs up as you reverse it, all the way to plank and to downward facing dog. Bend the knees, walk it out, whatever you need there. We're going to shift to our left side. So left toes rise. Bend the knee, open the hip, or whichever side you're on. I'm trying to stay away from saying right and left, so let's just go to the opposite side. Palms are down, weight is evenly stacked in the palms. The shoulders stay squared, so we have an isolated stretch in the psoas. You can move that top ankle around. Beautiful, and then squaring the hips back up. Keep the top foot flexed. So now that I'm squared, I can re-engage through the palms, lock into the core. The standing leg is going to bend and then extend. You're working knee down, thigh to belly, and then extending through the back of the leg. You feel a lot of the hamstring, a lot of the hip, a lot of the quads. Get it all working and moving. Let's go for 3. Every fingertip is playing a part. 2. And 1. Now bring the right knee all the way down. Your left foot is flexed. You're locked into the core, and then you're pulsing. So remember, if you feel that arch happening, we're losing our abdominal muscles. So keep the ribs and the hips pulling together, and then isolate the glute muscle to lift. Keep squeezing. The work comes from your squeeze. Keep squeezing. Few more sets. Check in with the left foot. Make sure it's flexed. 3, 2, and 1. Find those big circles on the hip. This is still an active circle, so we still want the rib cage closed, the palms still pushing down. And then go opposite direction. Remember, we're trying to lift and open. Big range of motion. And now we're going to land with the pinky toe out to the side. So extend the leg, work the pinky toe all the way down, and then we're going to exhale and sink it into our stretch. Take a breath here. Try to keep the left or whichever pinky toe, try to keep it down so that you feel that inner leg line extending. And then we're going to go ahead and walk it forward. Coming back to our quadruped, tucking the toes, locking into the abdominals, just lift the knees up to a float. Now keep holding your float. Try to press into the palms and push the mat away from you. Round up a little bit higher into the back body. Now on your next exhale, you're going to walk the toes up gently towards the wrist. Every fingertip is down. And then walk the knees back down to a hover. Don't lose your core. Let's do it 2 more times. Walk it up. Stack to the upper back. Press into the palms. Walk it back. Make sure you're pushing the mat away from you the whole time. Last one. Land in your forward fold. Now we're going to bend the knees. Flip the palms up. Take the hands down. Give it a little roll through the wrist. Try to make a circle all the way around the wrist joint. And releasing the hands, tailbone goes down farther. You're going to inhale, bring the palms up. Exhale, throw it away. Inhale to lift. Exhale, throw. Inhale. Exhale. 2 more. Palms stay up. Sink it back down to chair. And check in with the feet. We want heel to toe unrolled to the mat. Draw the hips back. Draw your navel to your spine. And then reach the thumbs a little bit farther back so you feel the back muscles activating. Keep holding, keep breathing. Maybe gaze up between the palms. Sink it a little bit deeper. And then if you want to challenge your range of motion, see how low you can go in your squat without the hands. And then come back up into your chair pose. 2 more. Sink it down to wherever you're at. And back to chair. 1 more. Hi, that's a quad burner. All the way to standing. Let the hands go into a forward fold. Inhale to a flat back. Exhale, step it through plank, lower chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. And back to our downward facing dog. Whew, that burned my thighs. Inhale, right toes up. Bring the right knee to your nose. Hold in your high round. And then lower the right foot inside right thumb. Now the back heel is still high, so I'm in my high lunge stance. I want to shift forward. Use this front butt muscle, this front leg, to roll my spine up through center. Now I'm in a high lunge stance. Feet are on same sides of the mat, so we're not together at midline, we're on train tracks. If you feel some tension in your low back, just go ahead and bend your back knee. Inhale, palms rise. If you'd like, take a bind, sink it a little bit deeper, open the front body. Keep breathing here, feel the extension through the front. And then we're going to exhale, lift up just halfway, arms to a 90, step to hips distance, chair. Keep squeezing, rotate through the torso. You're not using momentum, you're using your abdominal muscles. Squeeze into the back body, hold the navel to the spine. Now holding in center, let's inhale, palms rise. Exhale to a fold. Inhale, flat. Exhale through your chaturanga. Chest stays open. Inhale, cobra. Exhale to our downward facing dog. Inhale, left toes rise. Exhale, knee to nose. Hold your high round. Unroll left foot inside left thumb. You're using this front leg, front glute muscle. You inhale to roll it up, palms lift. Now you're in your high lunge stance. Push from your back toe. If you feel tension on the back, sink into the back knee a little bit. Option to bind, open up the heart. Maybe sink it a little bit deeper. Feel a nice stretch across the hips. 1 more breath here. Exhale, cactus. You're coming up halfway. You're stepping the right foot forward. Whoa. Holding your stance. This time we're going to turn both toes out to a 45 and come to a malasana. Squeeze your glute muscles. So I want to make sure the knees are pushing out. I'm creating resistance by drawing the knees wide. Keep the glute muscles holding. 3, 2, and 1. Toes are going to shift back forward as you lift the palms up overhead. Exhale to a fold. Inhale, flat. Exhale through your chaturanga. Inhale, cobra. Hold cobra. Add a little lat pull. So every fingertip is working down. The shoulders are working away from the chest. And then my ears are working away from the shoulders. And then you're going to let the shoulders hit the ears and draw them away. But the arms are staying long. I'm working to find my lat muscles. Keep the abdominals active. Let's go one more. Now keep the lats pulled down. Keep the shoulders away from the ear. And gently gaze right to left, soft through the neck muscles. Feel a nice stretch. Maybe go a little farther past the shoulder line. And then if you'd like to stay on top of the toes here, you lift into the core. You use your core to stay kind of light on the feet. And then you can put some nice pressure on the tops of the toes. Stretch out the front of the ankle. And then we'll untuck the toes, find downward facing dog. Any kind of movement you need there, you can shake out the hands. And then holding in our downward facing dog, we're going to inhale, right toes rise. Exhale, right foot inside right thumb. Inhale up to a high lunge stance. And then exhale into a low lunge. The palms are flying behind. I draw navel to spine and extend to a half Hanuman. Now keep holding, keep reaching, fingertip to crown of the head. Right foot is active, right quad is active. This side butt muscle is working back and down. Keep the stretch, keep the length in the spine. Now we're going to shift forward into our right leg. We're going to inhale back through a high lunge, hands to heart. And then exhale, left knee comes to the chest. Keep holding. Lock into this side. Pull navel to spine. And then you have the option to go into your figure four stretch. So now my left leg is very active. My knee is working open. And I'm using my hips, the weight of my hips, to open up into my stretch here. One more breath. If you want to make it more challenging, take the palms up overhead. Keep the gaze, the drishti, in one location. And now we're going to inhale to stand. Just float the left foot off the mat. Let it circle around any kind of movement it needs. Whoa. Challenge your stability. Find balance. And then we're going to land hips distance and sink it straight into a malasana, heels and toes out. Now all the way down to a stretch for a moment. So you can use your elbows to press the knees wide. You can lift and lengthen through the crown. Feel those back muscles working. Extend left thumb over the right, palms forward. See how my knees just rolled in? I'm going to use my butt muscles to lift and open my knees wide and then hold at a hover. So my tailbone is about level with the knees. Keep holding. If you get bored with static, you can add a little pulse. The pulse is great to get into those glute muscles. And I want you to actively think about hitting the glute muscles, pulling out of the hip flexors. So think heel to toe, connecting all the way to the butt muscles. 3, 2, and 1. Toes shift forward as we stand. Inhale. Exhale to a fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale through your chaturanga. Cobra. And back to our downward facing dog. Right away. Inhale, left toes rise. Exhale, left knee to nose. Unroll the foot. Inhale to our high lunge. Exhale, back knee lowers. Now the palms are flying back. The left toes rise. Find your half Hanuman. So I want squared hips. Hips working back and away. Reaching fingertip to crown of the head. You're rolling the shoulders open and away from the ears. So you feel those back muscles holding to get the chest nice and light. Keep breathing. No tension on the front knee. Keep the quads active. Keep the feet active. One more breath here. Now as we inhale, we're shifting forward back into our high lunge, hands to heart. And then you're extending. Exhale, right knee up to the chest. Keep holding. Lock into the core. Feel the hip flexors. Feel the abdominals. Stay balanced by pushing that bottom foot down. Locking into the hip and the core. And then we're going to release our right leg down. Oh, just kidding. Figure four. Almost fell over there. So once we're in our figure four, this top foot still stays active. The weight of our hips is pushing back. Feel that left inner thigh lifting up towards the ceiling. Softening through the shoulders. Sink it back a little tiny bit farther. Now let's inhale up. Keep the right foot off the mat, but just extend it. Challenge your balance here. Keeping the gaze in one spot. Hi. That's when I start getting tired and I start making my hi noises. Last one. Woo, I feel that left leg. Okay, landing hips distance. Abs are in. We're going straight to our malasana. Hover this time, not our stretch. So already our glute muscles are fired up. Let's take the palms straight forward and in line with the shoulders. We're going to wrap into the shoulder girdle by flipping the palms open. Now our lats are tucked down. So straight up to the top, toes stay wide. Exhale, hover. Inhale, squeeze the glutes. Exhale, hover. Keep moving top to bottom. Last one. Hold your hover, squeeze, take the hands behind the head, press the head into the palms, feel those back muscles firing up. Keep breathing, releasing the front body. And exhale, sink it all the way into your stretch. Use the palms to open up the heart. You can even flip your palm grip here, and you get a stretch across the wrist and the forearm. Now, right now, our thigh is close to our belly, so if we're in our malasana, your thigh is pretty close, and we're going to squeeze and keep it close. So now the abdominal muscles are working. I'm going to let my bottom fall to the mat, but I'm going to keep my thigh to belly squeeze and immediately extend up into a wide Navasana. So thigh to belly squeeze is contracted through the core, and it's helping me stabilize as I peel the toes up and extend. Now you can't see me, but keep holding. Palms can keep reaching forward. Work your thigh to belly squeeze. Close off that space. If you want, one palm goes up, other palm goes up, both palms go up. Squeeze, 2, 1, toes together. Let's bring them down to a hover. 3, squeeze navel to spine. 2, bring them back to the top. You can bind. You can go thighs, bottoms of the knees. You can go ankles, but draw the lats down. Bring the forehead close to the shin. Keep breathing. Still working that thigh to belly squeeze. Now as we exhale, we're going to flex the foot, bring the knee straight back into a happy baby, and let it roll out. You can go right to left. You can roll front to back. Anything that feels good on the spine here. And then we'll come to a static happy baby. Whatever bind you like. I'm going to go ahead and bind to the inside of my feet. Pull the knees out to a 90, and then pull the tailbone down. Try to get the low back flat to the mat. Now we're going to release the bind. Let the heels circle away from center. And try to keep the knees and hips in one line. Right foot is going to land wide. The left foot is going to go on top. Right knee folds in towards midline. So you have this nice internal rotation on the right hip. So now I want to check to make sure my knee and hip are in one line. The weight of the hip is folding down. And you can use your hands to massage across the hip there. You can go into the low back. I like to use my thumb knuckles to peel the hip muscles right off the hip bones. And then we're going to hold and extend the arms out. So this right side arm, so my right leg is internally rotated. I'm going to take the right arm to a 90 and then add some movement, just bringing my palm towards the mat and then back and away. Try to keep your 90 as you rotate. And that's about enough of that one. Let's open up the right leg. Walk the feet back to hips distance. We're going to add a couple rolls through the spine. So you have two options. You can either roll from the hips all the way through and then the same direction on the way back, or you can make a circular action with the spine where you bring the hips up and then you lead back down with the hips. So whatever feels good to you today, whatever kind of movement you want to work on the spine. Either way, we're just getting into the vertebrae. We're getting some mobility in between each vertebrae. And landing nice and flat, unrolling the spine so our low back is down. Let's take the left foot out, right foot on top. Now you fold, check in, knee in line with the hip. The legs are out. Now you can pay attention to that top hip, the left hip, peeling the muscles right off the bones. And then we'll take that same side arm out to a 90. So the shoulder is heavy. The ribs are still sinking heavy. And you can add the movement, the rotation front to back. Ooh, this shoulder, the hand touches the mat. Hopefully your hand can get all the way down to the surface beneath you. One of my shoulders can do it, one of my shoulders cannot. So it's interesting every day to check in with your shoulders to see where they're at. And one more. And then we'll release the legs. Now we're going to take the legs straight up in the air and just move the ankles around. If you can reach your ankles, go ahead and bind onto them. Now pull, so you're actually gripping the fascia, pulling it away, and then moving the ankles, and you'll feel a deeper stretch across the ankles. And then releasing. Let's take it to Supta Baddha Konasana. So we have our back nice and flat. Our feet are together in a butterfly position, our knees around to the side. Now you can use the weight of your hands to bring the knees closer to the mat. Intentionally releasing through the hips, releasing through the inner thighs, the groin. And then gently and slowly releasing the pressure if you have your hands on the legs. We're going to take our wrists to the hip line and keeping the belly soft. On the exhale, you'll lock out your arms. You'll create a nice long stretch through the spine, and you might even get some cracks or pops out of the spine. Remember, it happens on the exhale. Oh, no cracks and pops for me today. Oh, there's one. And now when you release this one, it's very slowly, very gently letting the spine adjust. And then we'll bring our left hand to heart, right hand to belly, and extend the legs beneath us. Just take a few moments, do a little body scan. Just checking in with yourself from the crown of the head to the toes. Noticing how the body feels. If there's any tension held in certain spots, try to release that tension. Bring some awareness there, some breath. And if you made an intention or if you had something you were grateful for at the beginning of our practice, come back to that now. Taking one more deep inhale, feeling the expansion across the belly. And exhale, let it out. Feel free to stay here longer. If you'd like to follow me, I'm going to take it over to my right side. And then pressing it up through center. Again, feel free to stop the video, stay in Shavasana as long as you'd like. But when you're ready, let's come up to center. And together we'll bring our hands up overhead. Exhale, hands down to your heart. Thanking your body and your practice. Thank you for joining today. I hope you enjoyed that practice. I hope it got you where you needed to go. And I will see you next time on House of Chi Yoga.